Good morning. Second cup of coffee. Oh, sorry, second sip. First cup of coffee. Been watching the news. Been watching, don't even want to call it news anymore, just want to call it accusations. People accusing people from the left to the right, people from the right accusing people on the left, people in the middle accusing both sides. I don't really care right now. What I do recognize is that in this world there is evil. Evil takes many different forms. And evil can be recognized by the individual as different things. But there is an absolute. There is a line in the sand that I think every reasonable person can recognize as evil. School shooters, they're evil. The dictators, even benevolent dictators, if they're dictators, they're evil. There's no such thing as a benevolent dictator. It's a very horrible thing to have to live under something like that. I'm very blessed in that I've not had to live under anything like that. Let's talk about the gray area of evil. The perceived evil. The evil that we each hold. The evil that we each decide on our own what is evil. So many of this is based in religion. Many of it is based in just the environment that we live in, how we've come to accept things in the world. A religious person may believe that transgenderism is evil. Meanwhile, a transgender person may believe that a person's religiously held beliefs are reason for them to be evil. When I was a practicing Catholic, I was taught that evil was absolute. These things are evil, these things are not. When you cross this line, this is evil. Turns out it's much more grayer than that in the real world. It's not always easy to recognize evil. It may come in the form of a president, or priest, or preacher, or rabbi, a Boy Scout leader, a Girl Scout leader, your neighbor. But evil is not absolute. It is much grayer when we're talking about this perceived evil. Evil that comes from beliefs. So if you are part of a religion that believes something is evil, that's your religious belief. There's nothing wrong with it. If it's something I disagree with, and I think it's so heinous that it affects how I think of you, well, then I don't want anything to do with you or your religion. If, on the other hand, it's something very slight that doesn't affect others, that you're not trying to impose your beliefs on others, What do I care? Different strokes for different folks. However, if you're little adjustment to the camera here. However, if your belief system involves declaring someone evil and taking action against that person, and that person's perceived evilness from your point of view is not doing anyone else any harm, I have a problem with that. That's another form of tyranny, when you try to superimpose your beliefs on someone else. The absolute evils. At first, the thought is, well, those are just as hard to identify as the perceived evils. Well, not really. Absolute evils are actions taken against others to do harm. Absolute evils are actions taken against others to do harm. So, child abusers, evil. That child is someone else and you're doing harm to them. Murder, evil. You're doing harm to someone else. Stealing, evil. You get the point here. Evil done against other people. Actions done against other people that does them harm. That's an absolute evil. You can claim there are nuances. You give someone a immunization shot, a typhoid shot. That hurt them immediately, but in the long run, it may save them from getting typhoid. That's semantics. You're obviously not intending to do them harm. You're giving them medicine of sorts. Not evil. Injecting someone with cyanide. Evil. I really think it's cut and dry. I can't think of a case where you would do something that harms somebody that doesn't, have some kind of extenuating circumstance, like inoculating someone. This is pretty straightforward. And again, comes back to my libertarian beliefs. Freedom. This is my body. This is my property. I will do with it as I want. You have no right over my property. I don't know if you've caught this yet, but libertarians are very big into property rights. So, evil. The question of abortion always comes up. And really this comes from a point of view, and is maybe the grayest of gray areas. Do you believe, when do you think life starts? And this comes down to a belief system. It always does, no matter what. The idea that life starts at birth is absurd. So, in utero, not alive, 10, 15 minutes later, birthed, alive. That one will never have an easy answer. It will always be gray. Is it evil? Is it not evil? My personal belief is it is evil. But I recognize that in myself as a belief. I could never vote to make it legal. But I recognize in myself that that is a belief. I support the idea that abortion be handled by the states, by the smaller communities within America. States. I don't think it should have ever been handled by anything other than the states. I think it was an overreach by the federal government. Evil, it exists. As a religious, from a religious point of view, superimposing your religious beliefs of evilness is evil in itself. I can prove this. Let's go with the transgender beliefs. Your belief that becoming a male from a female, that's evil. Leave out, hey old man, hey old man. Leave out the all the ambiguities. Just stick with an adult wants to become a female. And your belief system is that has been declared evil by God. Maybe this one's too ambiguous to use as an example, but we'll go with it. I've gone down this road, I'll continue down it. So your religious belief is that this is evil. Well, it should be illegal. No, I don't think that you should make that illegal. Let's start with you're superimposing your beliefs on someone else. And all they're trying to do is go from man to woman. Whether you think it's righteous or not, whether I think it's righteous or not, really none of my concern. As long as they're only hurting themselves, as long as they're only helping themselves, that's not our business. Gay marriage, there's another good one. The government should have nothing to do with marriage, period. Whether it's gay, straight, doesn't matter. Multiples, it's not the government's business. The idea that a government would issue a license, the government would give you permission to be with someone, is ludicrous. Give you a license to drive, give you a license to practice medicine. The government issues a business license, but they're going to give you permission to be with the person you love. That's someone's religious belief being superimposed upon people that don't agree with it. And it started in racism. The first licenses were issued to prevent, in America, were issued to prevent African Americans and white people from marrying. It comes down to simple freedom, man. Don't superimpose your perceived your perceived evil on another group of people who may disagree with your perceived evil. That's horrible. We have a duty to protect innocence. We don't have a duty to create a theocracy. And the first thing we have to ask ourselves when we're trying to pass a law, a rule, whatever, over people who may disagree with us is this law or rule a perceived evil on my part because of my religious belief? Is that person doing harm to others? I don't think that transgenders should be allowed to compete in sports opposite their original sex. Because I'm trying, in my mind, that's protecting those people. A transgendered woman who used to be a man competing in a woman's sport shouldn't be allowed because we need to protect the women of that sport. Little cat bump on the camera. Pretty simple. Protect the women of that sport. It's not okay to let a transgendered woman participate in women's martial arts. Not cool. It's pretty cut and dry for me. I don't want someone who has an advantage over a whole sport to be allowed to participate in that sport, especially when that person has that advantage because of their initial sex. That's all. I want women to have every ability to have just as much of a chance to win in a sport as men. And that is an injustice, and that is an action bought upon other women. And we need to protect those other women. That's why they established the women's sports, because it's not fair for women basketball teams to go up against men's basketball teams, or to have one star player in a basketball team to dominate a game in a women's league. It's simple. It's freedom. It always comes back to freedom with me. There's evil in the world. This coffee cup is not evil. My knives are not evil. This gun is not evil. There's evil in the world, but objects are not evil. People can perpetrate evil acts upon other people, and that has to be dealt with. People routinely perpetrating anything that doesn't hurt others within their own house and upon themselves or a consenting adult. It's none of my business. That's pretty simple. This will make a lot of people angry. I don't care. Look into yourself and ask yourself if you're putting your perceived evils, if you're trying to prevent your perceived evils on someone else. If you are, you're acting horribly tyrannical, whether you recognize it or not. Stop. Don't. And of course, the biggest perpetrators of this in America are Christians who want their laws to reflect their beliefs. There's no difference in that than Sharia law. None. For you to come out and say, and I can demonstrate this as well, God gave us the ability to choose evil. That's free will. Are you going to take away free will from your fellow Americans by making certain acts illegal because your belief system says that they're evil? That's horrible. From your point of view, as a Christian, you just stole a gift that God gave to mankind. Not cool. Not cool. As a matter of fact, I believe that Christians believe, I know because as a Christian for many years, I too believe this. Give unto God what is God, and unto Caesar what is Caesar's. God gave us the gift of evil choice. He said, you may have free will. That doesn't mean that we can choose what color socks we're going to wear today. God probably is not really worried about my aesthetic tastes, and because if he was, I'd be in deep trouble. I have horrible aesthetic taste. He gave us the ability to choose good or evil. That's your belief system. And every time you take away that choice, every time you say to somebody, we do not allow gays in our country. When you say that, when you hate those people, you're taking away a gift that God gave to us. That's a Christian tenet. We all have the ability to choose good or evil. Free will. And when you take away free will, you're taking away one of God's gifts. That's on you. I think that's probably a bigger sin than whatever sin you're trying to prevent by making it illegal. Matter of fact, I know it is. There's evil in the world. We have a responsibility to protect innocence, to make sure that the innocent of our country are protected from the evil. My junk basket. My cat loves to chew on it. Stop that. That's our job. We've gotten so far afield from our job, politically, religiously, and I know that there are many preachers who will disagree with me. I know I've had conversations with them. I've delved deep into many religions. I had one preacher tell me, if we don't issue marriage licenses, we will have people claiming that they're married everywhere. So what? What's your point? That's none of your business. That's the business of the people who want to make that claim. Is your church so weak that a marriage that you endorse must be endorsed by the government? That's why I'm not a member of any church. Domineering, shallow-thinking fools. Sorry. Sometimes my internal dialogue is a little bit dark, like this subject. And dark, like my coffee sometimes, which is absolutely delicious. It's cooled down a little bit. When I talk this much, it tends to get a little cold, but I always have a warm-up in reserve. Be good to people, be nice to people, and part of everybody's religion that I've ever met is love your enemy. That's all. It ain't easy. It's not supposed to be. Love thy enemy. Okay, all right. When people do you wrong, do them better. hating begets hate. Look around. When you're hating on, I can't keep up with alphabet soup, but the LGBT, the rest of them, when you're hating those, it's showing. People see that. People know that. When you try and make laws that prohibit that, people know that. People understand. That's why there's such a hard pushback upon that hate. Be clear. Be succinct. Tell them you love them. If your belief system dictates that what they're doing is wrong, you can say that. You can also say that you support their freedom to choose wrong, as long as it's not affecting anyone else, as long as it's not doing harm to anyone else. Yeah, there's a lot of gray area in that, but it's pretty straightforward. If you're doing harm to somebody, you're not allowed to do that. Doing harm to yourself, who cares? I've done plenty of harm to myself. I think I need a warm-up. Today's going to get warm outside, so I'll probably bring the last of my cold brew with me today for lunch. Been screwing up my diet a lot lately. I got to stop that and get back on track. I need to lose a little bit more weight, 20 pounds. Lost 30. That 30 was hard. Before that, I lost 60. This last 20 is going to be a bummer. But my body, my property, do what I can. I hope you guys all have a great day. And when you feel like doing evil, do the opposite. Temptation can be overcome. Have a great cup of coffee and a fantastic day. Until next time, ciao.